The NFL offseason is officially underway after the results of Super Bowl 60. Congratulations goes out to the Seattle Seahawks. That's a team that I watched in person when they came to Pittsburgh in week 2 of this season, and the defense was as real that day as it was in Santa Clara on Sunday. What a talented group that is. I mean, it's fun to watch that defense. I think most people that watch that game would say it wasn't much fun at all. But nonetheless, I mean, if there's anybody that can appreciate a defense just bullying their way to a championship win, it's somebody that grew up watching the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that's going to do it for this 2025 season of the NFL. And now we transition into the 2026 offseason. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are in an interesting spot. Mike Tomlin stepped away from the team shortly after their playoff loss to the Houston Texans. The Mike McCarthy era has officially begun, but outside of that change, what else are we going to see this offseason? Because for all intents and purposes, the Pittsburgh Steelers were a team that was, quote, all in 2025. What else would you call a team that brought back most of the same players but signed on a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers at quarterback to a 1-year deal, mind you? They were all in. They wanted to get the job done in 2025. And when you don't get the job done, what's left? And what's next? And there's going to be plenty to discuss as they try to navigate what's next for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But one of the biggest decisions they have to make, and one of the decisions they're going to have to make relatively quickly, is what to do with Broderick Jones. 2025 was a roller coaster of a year for Broderick Jones. It starts off with him finally, after 2 seasons, moving back to left tackle for good. He was moving back to left tackle in his second year, and then Troy Fautanu goes down with an injury, and boom, just like that, Broderick Jones is back on the right, Dan Moore stays on the left. Well, this year, they ripped the Band-Aid off. Dan Moore did not get a new contract. Dan Moore went on to play for the Tennessee Titans, and Broderick Jones was finally given the opportunity to play the position that he was drafted to play, and that's left tackle. He struggles out of the gate. That's going to happen. You're reacclimating to that side of the line for 2 years, and his entire NFL career, you were playing the right side of the line. You were playing right tackle. You were defending the quarterback's front side. Now you're the blind side guy. So it took a little bit of time for him to kind of figure out his footing, figure out what he needed to do, to figure out that position. And then he started to find it. By about week 5, week 6, week 7, you could tell Broderick Jones was in a little bit of a rhythm. And so too was the rest of that offensive line. They were doing what we expected them to do now that all the pieces were in the correct place. It was a young line, yes, but there's so much talent there that you figured once they get time to mesh and mold and grow together, that it was going to be a positive for the Steelers outside of what it's been, instead of what it's been, I should say, for the past couple of seasons, which is a negative. So the whole line, Broderick included, starts to find a rhythm. And then you have that crazy neck injury that happens against the Chicago Bears. And just like that, your season is over. And now it's decision time. The Steelers are in a tough position because they have this former first rounder that they traded up for to be the future of the left tackle position. He's entering his 4th season, and now you have to decide whether or not you're going to pick up his 5th-year option. According to overthecap.com, if they did, it would cost the Steelers around $20.5 million for the 2027 season. Now, there is another factor that comes into this, and that's Dylan Cook. Because when Broderick Jones went down, they went with Andreas Pete first, That didn't work all that well. And then Pete gets injured, and you have to go to Dylan Cook, a jack of all trades type of guy for the Steelers over his first couple of seasons in the NFL. Well, it seemed like he found a home at left tackle. He stepped in and he stepped up. And you can't ignore that. You just can't go into next season and pretend like you didn't see that. But when I look at this situation, I think of the Mason Rudolph situation a couple of years ago when he stepped in for Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett. He stepped up. He went 3-1, including 3-0 down the stretch to force the Steelers into the playoffs. And then he went on to earn Tennessee the number 1 overall pick the following season. The league figured it out. And that flash that he was able to provide wasn't able to be sustained after that 3, 4, 5-week sample size. I'm not saying it's an apples to apples comparison. I'm not saying putting Dylan Cook on the line is going to give the Steelers the number 1 overall pick because he's just going to be that bad next season. But you can't throw Broderick Jones out because of Dylan Cook. If anything, it's great that you found some competition. If anything, it's great that you found some depth. But considering what Broderick was drafted to be, and the fact that we finally got an opportunity to see him in his natural position, the position that you wanted him to play, the position that you told him he was going to play, and he started to build week after week, you still have to go back to that guy, at least in my opinion. The neck injury to me is a much bigger factor than Dylan Cook stepping in and playing the way he did. Broderick Jones underwent surgery last month, and that's always going to be a moving target. How long does it take to return? How long does it take for him to get to full strength? Is he going to be the same when he returns? That, to me, is a much bigger factor than the Dylan Cook of it all. That, to me, is the determining factor going into the Steelers' decision-making for the fifth-year option. If he is in line to make a full recovery by training camp, I would pick up the fifth-year option. I would say, you know what? We're going to give you that opportunity to not just this year, but this year and next, earn that next big contract. Prove to us that you are the guy that we drafted you to be. If not, if there are question marks, if there are red flags with his health throughout the next, 4, 5, 6 weeks before they have to make this decision, if there's any uncertainty about his actual health, you're going to have to wait on it. $20.5 million is a lot for a guy with a banged up neck. So as we sit here today, we don't know what the prognosis is for Broderick Jones. But if he can recover and you can get him a large portion of this offseason where he's able to rehabilitate and then try to start building after that on what he was able to do at the end of 2025 before he suffered that injury, then you have to trust him. You have to have faith in Broderick Jones to be the guy that the Steelers envisioned him being, because he's done anything and everything that's been asked of him. He moved to right tackle as a rookie because Chuks Okorafor was not good. He stepped up and he had himself a pretty darn good rookie season at right tackle when he expected to just be, pretty much redshirted that season, or he expected to potentially just take over for Dan Moore whenever he was ready. Instead, he went to the other side of the line and was forced to start. And guess what he did? He did it, and he did it well. He stayed at right tackle in year 2 after you had told him, hey, yeah, we're probably going to move you back to the left. Oh, wait, no, you're going to go to the right because Troy Fautanu is injured. This guy has done everything you've asked of him. This guy has been, a very good teammate throughout his first 3 seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I know being a great teammate is not a reason to pick up a guy's fifth-year option. But to me, it is it's a little bit of extra information that you take into account. It's not a determining factor, but it's there. I think at the end of the day, if he is healthy, if all goes well, and if all has gone well since he had that neck surgery a month, 6 weeks, whatever it was ago, I think you got to pick up the option. But that is going to be one of the biggest dominoes to fall early in this offseason for the Steelers. Let me know in the comment section. Do you agree? Would you pick up Broderick Jones' fifth-year option? And if not, why not? If so, why? What is the biggest concern you have with Broderick Jones and this decision? Let me know in the comment section below. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this one. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more Steelers content at my channel, Nick Belsky. But that's going to do it for this video. We'll see you guys next time.